Good morning and welcome to This Week with Pastor Dino. I'm Dino and I'm so glad you're joining us here at First Presbyterian Church of Bradenton, where we are cultivating hearts for Jesus from the heart of downtown. We are going through the Lenten season right now, and our current series is talking about the last days of Jesus. Now, last Sunday, we got to the denial and betrayal that happens to Jesus by Simon Peter and Judas, who are two of his apostles. Now, you may know the story of Peter. Jesus says, "You're going to deny me 3 times." And Peter says, "I would never do that." And Jesus says, "Yeah, by the time morning comes around, you will deny me 3 times. It ends up happening. It's a pretty low point for Peter, but there's a redemptive part of Peter's story, and I'm going to jump into John 21 today to show you kind of what happens in the aftermath as Jesus comes back into Peter's life. Jesus has been asking Peter, "Do you love me?" And then it gets to verse 17 of John 21. The third time Jesus said to Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" And Peter was hurt because Jesus had asked him the third time, "Do you love me?" He said, "Lord, you know all things. You know that I love you." Jesus said, "Feed my sheep." See, the brokenness in Peter's life, his denial of Jesus, is not the end of his story. In fact, Jesus comes into his life and redeems him and gives him a job to do. Feed my sheep is Jesus' way of telling Peter, "I want you to take over for me in my role because I'm going back to the Father in heaven, and I need somebody here to minister to people, to run this church, to continue leading this body." That's what Peter's going to do. So it's just a reminder that we all mess up. We all deny, we all betray, and I talked about that on the Sunday sermon quite a bit in the different ways we could do that. But our sin is not the end of the story, and we need to keep that in mind. So if you're struggling with something, if you feel like disconnected from Jesus, what you need to do is connect back with him and realize that his grace and his love are sufficient to rescue us from even our deepest bits of sinfulness. And he asks us all to be a part of his body, just like he asked Peter, "Feed my sheep." So let's keep that in mind this week. Thanks be to God. This week, the church office will be open. We're going to keep going through our series, The Last Days of Jesus. Hope you've been enjoying that. And we've got all kinds of Zoom groups and other small groups that have been popping up based on that. So if you want to get connected to that, why don't you go ahead and shoot me an email. Tell me you want to get connected to a group. It's dino@firstpressbradenton.com. With that in mind, one of our group leaders is Ralph. And today I want to know what Ralph thinks.
And now, this is what Ralph thinks.
What do you think about giving up something for Lent?
I think it really draws your focus on what Lent's all about and everything. It's very difficult to do. I say I do it, and then I don't do it with it, and I never follow through. But it is something that you focus on, and you're focusing for the day that Christ has arisen. So I think it's worth sacrificing, just as he sacrificed his life for us.
That was what Ralph thinks.
That's a Ralph.
For our interview today, I am very honored to have Charlotte here, and I'm going to take you straight to the interview with Charlotte now. All right, I am here with Charlotte. Charlotte is part of the Rustin clan, daughter number 3, rocking it at 8 years old. Charlotte, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Thank you, cool. And you asked to be on the show today. Did you think you were signing up to be on a different show?
Yes.
You thought you were signing up to be on the ABCs of Faith?
Uh-huh.
But you're here, and I'm interviewing you. Yeah, so Charlotte, how is 3rd grade treating you? Tell me all about it.
I love my teacher. Her name is Miss Smith, and I met new friends. One of them's name is Anna, and Courtney, and another Charlotte.
Oh my gosh. There's 2 of you? Oh my gosh.
Charlotte and Charlotte E.
Okay.
Charlotte E.
Okay, cool. That's very cool. And what's your favorite subject in school right now?
Math.
Charlotte, what else are you doing in life right now?
Well, I've been going to youth group.
Okay, cool.
I love it.
Awesome.
And Speaking of youth group, 411's coming up, and it's kind of like youth group, and I like it. And soccer is starting up.
Cool.
And I can't wait for that.
So a lot of people out there might not know exactly what the 411 is. Can you tell them what 411 is all about?
411 is technically with your family, and you get to do activities. Last time we stacked Oreos up in 5 minutes, and each family got Oreos to get the tallest Oreo tower, and it was fun.
Yeah. Do you remember the point of that? Like to have a strong foundation, and we had to like kind of build a big foundation like that, and that was like our foundation needs to be God and the church and the Bible and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And we sang some songs at 411, some worship songs, and we learned about the Bible a little bit. So it's cool stuff. Yeah. And you like going to church? You like hanging out here?
I love it.
Yeah, awesome. And it's cool because we've seen kids coming back to church. You get to hang out with some kids here and do some stuff at church, which is pretty cool. Do you like the sermons?
Yeah.
That's good.
I like learning about God and his followers and how they've treated him and how he's treated them.
Yeah, and treats us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very cool, very cool. Do you have any favorite Bible stories that you can think about that you could tell me?
Oh, obviously Adam and Eve.
Okay.
I like it because it teaches you to follow what God says and just try not to lead yourself into temptation.
That's right. Absolutely. That's a great point because for all of us, there's temptation out there. Like we can be mean sometimes, right? And we can be difficult and all that. But the Adam and Eve story does remind us we have to be careful with those things. So yeah, thank you. That's a great reminder. Charlotte, is there anything else you want to say out there? I mean, most people watching probably don't know what it's like to be a third grader in life. And, you know, third grade's different now than it used to be. So what can you tell us a little bit about life and all that before we take off here?
Learning multiplication in math and all different subjects can be hard. But don't give up, because if you give up, you're never going to learn. Right.
And that can apply to any part of our life, right? Not just multiplication. Mm-hmm. If we're learning to cook, if we're learning to play soccer, if we're learning to use the internet, if we're learning to use a smartphone for the first time, whatever it is, we can keep learning. And that's, you know, as a third grader or, you know, you're 8 or you could be 98 and you're still learning in life. So Charlotte, thank you so much for being here. I love you and I love having you on the show. In terms of online programming this week, we've got the ABCs of Faith Lent edition on Wednesday night. We're going through some different things having to do with the Lenten season, so check that out at 7 p.m. We've got breakfast and Bible study on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock, and that happens on Zoom. So if you want to know how to get to that, go to our church website, bradenton.church/Zoom, and it will give you the link to get onto that class on Saturday morning. We've got worship at 9 and 11, online and in person, so whatever you feel comfortable with, we are really happy to be able to provide all of that to you. And lastly, we've got a new member class coming up on March 21st, but we're also offering one-on-ones and Zoom calls and FaceTimes and whatnot in order to get anybody connected who wants to become a member of First Presbyterian Church. So we are looking forward to that. Let's remember that Jesus gives us a high calling. And even though we're broken individuals, we have sin in our lives, that's not the end of the story. The end of the story is redemption and life and what comes through God's love and mercy and grace into our lives. Just as Jesus says to Peter, "Feed my sheep," Jesus is asking us to follow him and to spread his gospel, to be ambassadors of his good news. So let's strive to do that this week as we continue to go through the Lenten season that points us to Easter, the ultimate reminder that life, not death, is the end of the story for each one of us. Until next time, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon on This Week with Pastor Dino. Bye-bye. All right, well, I am here with my very special guest. Like I said, this is Charlotte. Charlotte lives at my house. Well, Charlotte, how are you doing today?
Good.
Now, you asked to be on the show this morning, and you asked to be interviewed by me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so is there a reason why you wanted to be on the show?
I thought you were gonna get... Oh. Your show.
Yeah, my show.
I thought it was gonna be
The Charlotte show?
Yeah.
Huh. Why?
Because we usually do that.
What do we usually do?
We usually go on ABCs of Faith, and I usually...
Talk?
Yeah.
But this is not ABCs of Faith. This is This Week with Pastor Dino.
Oops.